Welcome to To vblog. I'm your host, Kenneth Lo. I'm a lateral bodybuilder, weightlifter, and movement practitioner. I put these three elements into my training system to complete my training. My goal is to help my trainees to master their training, nutrition, and mindset, to help them to improve their strength, improve their physique, and overcome their weakness. Today, I'm at the gym, West Coast Strength and Movement. This gym literally matches my training system, strength and movement. Today, I'm going to interview one of the owners, Nick Middleton. Sitting next to me is Nick Middleton. How are you doing? Good to see you, right?
Yeah, good to see you, Ken.
I'm grateful you can be my guest of my vlog. Okay, so let me in, to talk about Vancouver. Let's talk about in Vancouver because I'm new in here. I just moved to here. I don't know anything. I'm still learning.
Yeah, it's Vancouver's it's definitely a very active city, right? So it's a coastal city. We have the mountains, we have the ocean, we have the forest. So I feel like there's a strong awareness of the people that live here to be active. And it's almost like when more people are active, it encourages other people, even if they're not from here, they come here and they think, oh, I want to be active because, you know, I can go into the mountains and I can go hiking. Or they look around and there's a lot of fit people. And it's like more fit people is going to encourage more sort of social awareness or a consciousness for people to want to be more active.
I agree.
Yeah.
Okay. How's the Vancouver fitness industry?
The industry, I think, the industry would be a direct representation of that. So, I mean, you have different types of facilities. You could have, like, we're a smaller boutique operation. The people that come here typically are looking for more intimate, private type setting for their workouts.
Okay. Yep.
Whereas you can go to other, not necessarily studios, but bigger gyms, like maybe like a big box gym, that there's more distractions, more TVs, more of the amenities that, people are there not necessarily because they want to work out, because it's very pretty. Whereas, a facility like ours, people come here because they want results and they're ready to work for it.
I think this is, fitness is a trend, right? A lot of celebrities, people, they will go to the gym, right? And then the people want to become them. Okay, they copy them, right? They go to the gym. Right?
Yeah. So there's definitely fads or trends where people, something becomes popular, whether it be high intensity interval training will become very popular, and then you'll see like a lot of studios or gyms start to really promote that. Whereas I think it's important to we don't just adopt a new style because it's popular, but we want to make sure that it works. So before we say, let's try this new modality, we like to experiment with it and see if we really like it, and then we teach it to our clients.
Okay. As you said, right, Vancouver is an active city. Okay. So they go outdoor to do skiing, snowboard, bike. So why they have to come to the gym?
Well, it's a good question. I mean, I guess they don't have to, but it does rain a lot here. So we find there's a bit of a trend where during the summertime, people tend to focus less energy on training in the gyms and more energy to be outside and enjoy the sun. Whereas during the winter time, where it's raining a lot, people they're not going to be riding their bikes or running as much. So they tend to maybe come indoors and look to focus more on training.
Okay. As my perspective, I can say that because I like sport. Okay, I like rowing, I like rugby, I like everything. Okay, martial art. But I think you can do any kind of sport, but behind the sport, we need strength training to support the sport, right? To reduce the risk of injury.
Yes.
Right? Otherwise, people, let's say I'm 40 years old, right? find me, man, if I go once a while or once a week football, right, soccer, I will get injured easily, okay? But if I add strength training into my training system, maybe it helps my sport performance and reduce the injury, right?
Absolutely, yeah. I completely agree with Ken. You know, if you are, you know, we call them like weekend warriors, or people that say, okay, you know, I work all week, but then when I get to the weekend, I want to go do something physical. Maybe I go skiing or biking, but during the week they're not physically active, so their bodies aren't adapted to deal with those kind of stresses. Yeah, totally agree. You know, when it comes to exercise, being specific about what you're doing to try and create, we'll use the word like transferable strength. So we want strength to transfer from an activity to a sport. So it might mean using a movement like a lunge or a squat instead of leg extensions.
Yes.
Because we know that we can, you know, have less injury if we're using functional movement patterns. Yeah, and I think that's like, you know, maybe like 20, 30 years ago, it was like everything was about the way you look.
Yeah.
And today we know more about, well, you can look good and perform well.
Yes.
It's not just about...
Not just one, not appearance.
Yeah.
You have to function, right? Let's talk about, you just mentioned functional training. What is functional training to you? Everybody is different.
Yeah, that's a good question. You know, I think functional training, it's a great question. It's also a very big question because I always, you know, I think, well, functional training to a bodybuilder might just be practicing poses and getting on stage because that's their function. But functional training for an athlete might be developing speed and power through a very specific movement. Versus functional training for like lifestyle for the average person might mean, you know, having better posture, having more energy, and just feeling better. So it depends on what the person's function is.
Yes.
But yeah, I think we could probably both agree. Yeah, we could agree that functional training does have different approaches based on who the person is. But specifically, I think it maybe boils down to emulating specific movements from whatever task that you're trying to become better at, or just improve that particular movement pattern.
Okay. Is it everyone should do squat?
I think everyone should do some form of triple extension. So ankle, knee, hip extension. I think is one of the most in the athletic community. We talk about triple extension as being a very functional movement pattern. I would say yes. I think everyone should do squatting if there's no pain. So if someone has pain in their knees or pain in their back, then I don't say, okay, we back squat in the racks today. Maybe it's going to look like a body weight squat, or maybe we're going to
goblet squat.
Yeah, goblet squat, or some type of modification to execute that movement, but without pain.
Yes, I agree. Because I think, according to my experience, not everyone can do full range of motion of squat, but they can still do squat. Let's say box squat, goblet squat, any kind of squat. Even they can do the triple extension. They can bend the knee. Okay, let's say sit down, get up. It's a squat, right? Or deadlift. When you pick up something from the floor, it's a deadlift. It's a functional movement, right? I think everyone should do it because this is daily movement. But a lot of people, they lose it, right? Because they don't use it. They lose it. Okay, so because they sit on the chair for more than 20 hours a day in the office, at home, in the car, especially Vancouver. Vancouver is I think something problem in Vancouver. Vancouver people, you can say they are active, but on the other side, very inactive because office sit down, home sit down, car drive 2 hours to work. All right. Wow, man. The need. Okay, maybe less than 10,000 a day, the steps. Is the problem.
It's definitely, I agree. You know, it's almost like some people, exercise for some people, and activity and movement is just something that they do. Whereas other people, that's the way they live. So some people, like there's definitely people in Vancouver that maybe they ride their bike to work, maybe they walk to work. But then, yeah, you're going to have that other group of people that, you know, the workout for them, exercise means, okay, 1 hour, 2 times a week or 3 times a week, they exercise. Yep. And then for other people like Kenneth and I, you know, exercise is something that we live, you know, we
lifestyle. It's
a lifestyle. It's not just 1 hour a day. It's, you know, wake up, maybe we stretch in the morning. There's a constant emphasis on your body and keeping it feeling good, and that means how we move it, how we train it, taking a rest day when we need it. You know, fueling your body. Like some people eat for reasons because they're stressed, or some people drink because they're stressed. But if you look at nutrition from like a fuel standpoint, don't get me wrong, because I like to eat. I like to enjoy.
Me too.
Enjoy food. But it doesn't. I don't want to lose the fun in eating and passion in life. But primary focus for me for food is like fueling my body, and then secondary it's social and enjoying time with family and friends.
Yeah, exactly. I would like to follow up Nick. What is that? Follow up. Like, anyway, when we talk about fat loss is not 12 months progress. It's not, you know, whole year progress, right? Because we need to enjoy the food. We need to enjoy the moment with family. We have to go out. But if I have a competition is coming up, I will control myself. Okay, let's say I have a bodybuilding competitions in 12 weeks. I will restrict myself. I will lock myself at home, all right, for 12 weeks. But after the contest, I will go to eat, all right? I don't drink, but I will eat. Because all bodybuilder is the truth. The truth is, not all bodybuilders like to eat. Otherwise, they can't get big, right? So, but when they sign up the contest, they control themselves. They control their diet, 100%. Otherwise, they can't go to the stage. If you don't dieting, when you go on the stage, you look stupid because you're still fat. You don't want to be fat, right? Yeah. And also, if you want to get shredded, okay, photo shoot, okay, for your friends, for the IG, right? You have to restrict the diet for at least 12 weeks. Everybody is different, right? And then after the photo, and then you can decide to maintain the physique or back to your normal lifestyle. But remember that if you're back to the normal, regular diet, you will become fat again.
Yeah, it's definitely, I mean, even, in my experience, I think in training we use the word reversibility. Yeah. So if you when you stop a training stimulus for strength, or you stop a training stimulus for speed or power, or for how much body fat you have, then you're always going to revert back to your pre-training state, or whether your pre-diet state. You know, you're always going to go back to the way that your body can be most efficiently. So I think, when we think about, people will come into the gym and they say, I want to look like this, and they show you a magazine and say, okay, I want to look like this, and I'm like, you don't want to look like that, because you maybe aren't going to want to live like that. But so just being real and being honest and saying, hey, like, if this is what you want, this is what it's going to take to get there. You want to be this strong, well, you got to be in the gym lifting, 4 days a week, and you need to be eating this much food, and you need to be able, you can't be eating out at restaurants. I don't think people always know what goes on behind the scenes. You see a picture and you think, oh, that looks great, I want that, but that picture is representing all this other stuff that we don't always see. And social media, we see pictures, but we don't see the process. And that's where I think it's something that, just being honest with our clients, to say, this is what, if someone wants something, this is what you need to do to get that.
Because people said abs are made in the kitchen, but this is a part of that. Maybe only 20% of the truth is a lifestyle make you become straight body, right? Diet, training, and sleep, and also always mention stress management. Okay? If you are stressed out at work, family, relationships, kids, you just can't to be lean. You can't. You have to I can't say balance because having abs is not balance. You can't have balanced lifestyle. You need to give up. You have to sacrifice your just something to get lean, right? You can't have everything together. You can't go out with friends, have hamburger, have buffet, have Chinese food, and then also have abs. If you have abs, you can keep it. But if you never have abs, you need to sacrifice, give up a lot of, shit, and then to become lean.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about what kind of customer to come to this gym.
What type of customers come to West Coast Strength and Movement? I think that being a private studio, one of the biggest appeals is that it's an exclusive environment, right? So if people want to work out in a private setting where they have private washrooms and towel service, they don't want to deal with a lot of people around them, so we cap out our numbers in the studio so that it's never rushed, it's never crowded in here. So that's a big selling point for a lot of people that do want to come in here. I think the second point is that we've sort of filtered through what doesn't work in the industry. So we don't do anything in West Coast that doesn't work or that we're not actively doing ourselves. So we're not about to hop on a fad or some type of fitness trend because it's popular and we think that we can sell. It's more about, what are the systems and modalities that work, So we use powerlifting, we use Olympic lifting, we'll use different styles of gymnastics. So we find that people that come here are attracted to us because we're a professional facility. We have experienced trainers, so we don't bring people on board that aren't passionate to learn and to be better. And if they're not practicing their own lifestyle, then we don't necessarily find that we synchronize. So yeah, it's something that I think people come here because they want quality. They come here because they feel there's a passion and there's a community associated with what we're doing. And it's something, it's a lifestyle. So we represent, just like when Kenneth and I met, I think we both liked each other right away because we share a passion and an appreciation for quality and just being transparent with our clients and telling them what works. Yeah. Okay. I think there's a lot of different reasons, but those are the top ones for sure.
But I think when I look at the customers, they don't lift very heavy weight. Not all, but some people they used to do the movement patterns more, right? They want to become more mobile, more active at the gym, right? Okay, and also as you said, right, correct their posture.
Yeah,
to become better.
Yeah, so working with, when someone comes in here, we do a full assessment. So it's not just oh, I want to lose weight. It's so people always know what they want. Yeah. So people say, I want to be lean, I want to be bigger, I want bigger arms, or I want bigger this. And so there's always two things that happen when people come in. Someone tells me what they want, and then I tell them what they need. So someone says, I want to lose weight, and I think, okay, they want to lose weight, they need to be eating properly. Yep. Okay? If they're eating properly, they need to maybe try and deal with some things that are happening in the background with managing stress, right? So you need to start somewhere and build a foundation. So just like on the nutritional side of things, with the physical body, if someone says, I want to be bigger, then, Kenneth and I say, okay, well, this person needs to be able to lift heavy, but they're not ready because they're going to get injured if they don't, address some of the asymmetries. So sometimes in getting someone to where they want to be, we might need to do things with them that we think they need first. And we could have two people that come in with the same goal, but they have the same goal. I want to be this weight, this big, this lean, but the approach might be completely different. Because this person needs this and this person needs that in order to get to that same point. And that's where just being individualized, being personal trainers and looking at everyone as an individual person and not just okay, we do this cookie cutter kind of, everyone do the same program.
No way.
Yeah.
No way. No, I don't believe the already set program one program to everyone. I don't believe it because it can't, right? Because everybody is move differently, or the structure differently, function differently. And also the lifestyle difference, right? You do, okay, 9 to 5 job and someone do shift, okay? It's different, okay? You can't give them the same training program and same nutrition program.
Yeah.
Okay, so I believe because everyone, okay, let's say I can train 3 times a week only, but you can train 6 times a week, right? It's different, okay? Because everybody, just the difference. So we need different program and different approach. As a coach, how can you coach, or how do you coach people if they don't listen to you or they always argue with you?
That's a good question. Something that, well, I'll start off by saying I started training in 2003, and it took me several years to realize that I can't expect all my clients to want to be as good as I want to be. So I don't mean that like in the sense that I'm the best. I mean, I might be willing to work more. I might be willing to work more than some of my clients. And so a client comes in, I can't judge them because they don't want to put in as much work as me. Because we love this, and we love it, so it comes naturally. And then the people that come to us for help, they don't love it yet. And so they need us to help them and coach them. So the lesson that I learned initially was that I need to be patient. So when someone isn't listening, you know, maybe I need to change my expectations and say, okay, you know, I said we could do this in 6 months. Maybe it's going to take a year, because if you're dealing with these other things in the background and it's a little bit slower and you're not training 3 days a week, you're doing 2 days, then this isn't going to happen as quickly as we want it to. So I think I'm very patient. Maybe sometimes I'm too patient because because you can be, well, I guess you could say, you know, have you ever heard the term tough love? You know, sometimes some people you just need to be very straight and say, you know what, this is not happening, and you're not going to get the results you want if you don't do this, this, and this. And that's okay. Some people can handle that. If other people, you say that, they can break. And so you might need to feel out the person. So depending on the client, maybe we have to be more accommodating or more patient. But I think that's also where, like, one of the things we have at West Coast Strength and Movement is we say that we are, you know, we're a blend of like the science of training and the art of movement. And I think personal training is science and it's art. And the art
I agree.
Art is the human part where we're saying, okay, this isn't a robot. I need to listen to this person and what do they need and how hard can they work, and at the end of the day, we want to be positive. So we want to structure success for people. So it's not helpful if we give someone too much and they fail, then that's bad, because now the experience is negative and they don't feel better for it. So if, you know, in the medical community, one of the sayings is that the best cure is the one the patient will do. So the best program, what is it? It's the program that a client can do.
I think coaching is a kind of parenting. I'm an 8 years old kid. I need a lot of patience. I make mistake, okay? I'm not a perfect dad. I make a lot of mistake. So I learn from it. I also fail a lot of trainees, or they fail me. Doesn't matter, but I learned from the mistake because I'm too strict, okay? I step back, okay? They don't like squat, doesn't matter, okay? I do something else. They don't like no carb diet, okay? I do something else. They don't like to write food diary, okay? We do something else. We always adjust the way of coaching, or I have to learn to be water, to be flexible to the clients, right? Because personal training is very special industry, right? It's too close to the people, too close, right? Because in Hong Kong, some trainees to train with me 4 to 5 times a week. Okay, we meet very frequently, maybe more than their parents, all right? So we have to understand the customers or trainees, their heart or the way of thinking, and then we go into their brain and then we know how to coach them. Otherwise, we just, you know, it's not matching.
Yeah,
it's different channel.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
Yeah, that's a very important part. I think that's one of the things that make a good coach is like being able to change when needed. You know, in order to be better received. Mm-hmm. You know, how do you, if our job is to teach, right? Teach, mm-hmm. educate. Not everyone learns the same way. No. Some people learn visual, some people learn auditory, some people more kinesthetic. They need to touch it, feel it, build it. Mm-hmm. So yes, it's always a constant change to figure out, okay, mm-hmm. how do I help this person?
Yes.
Yes.
I think helping the clients to achieve their goals is our mission, right? Okay, but the tools, we can use any kind of tools to help them, right? It's not just only one tool. That's why we have to keep educate ourselves, right? We learn everything. We take courses every year. Okay, that's me, because every education is a tools. Okay, if our toolbox have a lot of tools, okay, we can help the client better. Okay, if doesn't work, A doesn't work, we can use B. B doesn't work, we can use C. Yeah. Okay, that's why I like the name of the gym called Strength and Movement, because movement is big things to me. It's not just gymnastic rings. It's not just handstand. What is the definition of movement?
It's a really good question. The definition of movement, I think, you know, movement can be expressed rhythmically through dance. Mm-hmm. Movement can be expressed through competition in sport. Mm-hmm. It can be expressed through body language. You know, movement is such a complex thing that I think people often look at training and they just see the appearance. Mm-hmm. And they just see what the person looks like. But if I were to say, like, you know, body language mm-hmm. and movement, if someone comes into the gym and their shoulders are rounded out and the chins drop down, that person doesn't look confident to me, right? Mm-hmm. They look like something's wrong, they're hurt, they're sick, mm-hmm. you know? So movement can be your body language. It can be the way that you express, you know, your communication with people, right? Movement can be, like I said earlier, with dance and rhythm, and it can be social, where, you know, some cultures dance is a huge part of like what they do. So I think in not necessarily Vancouver, but in like North America, we tend to like break everything's in a section, you know. Mm-hmm. It's like the medical industry is very like segmented, where we've separated each of the individual components. Mm-hmm. Whereas when I think about movement, I think about the big picture of like what it means to be human. Mm-hmm. If I were to think about like movement and athletics, so when I'm talking to an athlete, if we're going to focus on mobility and range of motion and those types mm-hmm. of things, then I say to the athlete, well, now your circle of influence is bigger. So if I can squat deeper, jump higher, reach further, yep. now I have a bigger circle that I can do things in. Whereas if I'm stuck and I'm really tight, then my circle is really small. Mm-hmm. And I know there's like the injury side of it and the performance, but movement is something that I'm still exploring. Mm-hmm. You know, like I'll do different modalities. Like if I were to try, you know, capoeira mm-hmm. or like Tai Chi, I find there's movements where like it's foreign. It's like a language and I've never spoken. Yeah. I'm like, I don't even know how to move in that direction because my body's never moved there. Yep. It's like there's like, you know, we have this box and like we move inside our box, and then as soon as you go outside the box, it's like, what's happening? Mm-hmm. You know? So yeah, movement's definitely something that's like it's an ongoing journey of.
Yeah, as Nick said, movement is like language. My weak link is language. I think language and movement, they are the same. If I'm bad at language, I'm bad at movement. I have to repeat the same pattern over and over and over again. I have to spend more time than normal people, maybe than Nick. Okay, maybe Nick can practice one time, okay, can master the snatch. I have to practice for 100 times to master the snatch. Okay, this is me. If you ask me to you know, to learn a new language like Spanish, forget it. Forget it.
It's hard.
It's hard.
It's hard because it's easy. Like if you're like you said, if you're trying to speak in another language and you're having a difficult time, you're just going to go back to using your default. And it's like movement's the same thing. Like if you've got a movement, you know, if it's some type of overhead extension that's difficult for you or whatever, you're going to very easily default to certain dysfunctions if that's the way that your body has done it in the past. So, and it's like, you know, we talked about stress earlier. Like when people are stressed, they're going to default to bad movement patterns, bad posture, bad eating habits,
food craving.
Food cravings, yeah. So it's a very, and the more that I continue to do this or like look into these topics, it's like the more you realize that everything is interconnected. Yeah, exactly. You can't separate stuff. I mean, you can for discussion, but when it comes to like the practice of health, fitness, movement, training, whatever, you realize pretty soon that like everything has to work together. And if it's personal relationships, if it's work relationships, eventually it'll start to come up and you'll realize something's not right. Or maybe your potential's here, but you change this and now your potential's here. So depending on how far and how good and how deep into something you want to go, that's why it's like a journey, because the deeper you go, the more you learn, and you don't know something and you're trying to research and figure it out.
Yeah, I heard about one good example is like, okay, I'm a car, okay, 1500 cc, but Nick helped me to upgrade to 2000 cc, all right, bigger engine, okay, so I can have more power, okay, to lift weights, to function better. Okay, Nick also helped me to put a turbo into my car with 2000 cc, and I can beat up to 2500 cc car if they don't do any strength training, okay, or they stop there, not improving, right? If I keep improving my car, I can race faster. I think same as everyone, right?
Yeah, it's like, you know, everyone has, I guess you're looking at like potential, right? So it's like, you know, if you're, I'm a car guy, I love cars and bikes. And like we could say the same thing. So we put a bigger motor in, but then I tell people, okay, you got a bigger motor, but what kind of tires do you have? What's your brakes like? What's your suspension? What's your transmission? Exactly. You know, and so if you put a really big motor in a very weak car, then something's gonna break. So, you know, it's like with training when we have like a system of like saying, okay, start here, and some people are very tight, and so we need to focus on the mobility. Some people are very weak and unstable, so you need to bring that up. And so if this comes up, this needs to come up. You know, if you're gonna do here, you gotta increase this. And so you can't just go all the way to the max with power if you're not gonna work on mobility and other aspects of like sort of the training dynamic, right? So, but like sometimes people are motivated to get bigger, but people aren't motivated to stretch. People aren't motivated to, you know, do cardiovascular activity. What's the most important muscle in the body? Heart. So if your heart's strong, you can train harder. You can train harder, you can get bigger.
Recover faster.
Yeah. So it's everything's very connected. You know, it's you know, I guess I'm not sure if you use the same terminology, but we talk about like your primary components of fitness, which is like strength, flexibility, cardiovascular health. And then, you know, secondary components of fitness like agility and speed and balance. And so if we build a workout, we build an athlete, you know, it's like layers in a cake. You know, you got the cake, and then you got the icing, and you got the sprinkles, and you got, maybe cake's not the best analogy, maybe we use like something. But the idea is that we have to prioritize certain components and you know, and then add into that. So, you know, if we're prioritizing movement, we prioritize squat over bicep curl. Right? We prioritize functional movement over single joint movements because they serve us better, we get better results, they transfer, etc.
That's why I input all the elements into my training system to complete my program, as I said. Okay, weightlifting is good. It's my hobby. It's my goal. But I have to add bodybuilding training program into my system, weight training system, like Chinese weightlifter. Okay, to fix the weak link. Because I only can squat, I only do the snatch and clean and jerk. I still can't train a lot of small muscles to protect my lower back or the hamstring, something on the knee. If my hamstring is weak, my knee will suffer, right? So this is I think the different elements is so important in the same movement. And also why I practice the handstand, why? Because it improves my mobility, okay? To lock out my joints and protect my joints, okay? But it can help my snatch and clean and jerk as well. So that's why I like, you know, all kind of stuff, okay, to complete my training program. As next, the athlete, they can't just do the squat, right? Because they have to run, they have to do natural movement, right? They can't just do, what's that called? Frontal plank movement,
right?
Okay, but without other stuff.
Yeah, so yeah, like multi-planner, like multi-planes of motion. So he's saying, like, you know, a lot of the time some training programs will look at the body, and I'm not going to get into naming what those training modalities might be, but if we think about the body as being able to move through a, you know, 3-dimensional space, right? So it can move through, a forward plane, right? That's my bicep curl or my squat, but I also need to move through a lateral plane to change directions. But in an athletic setting, I need to move through all 3 planes at the same time, right? And so I need to be able to plant, push, rotate, or maybe I'm throwing and I need to come across my body. So if you're not touching on, you know, multi-planner movements, and we don't start people off day one and say, hey, you're going to go into a transverse step up, or, you know, these more complicated movements. But at some point, you know, you need to be touching on these. Otherwise, your program is lacking.
Yeah, I agree totally.
Yeah.
Okay. So what is the biggest problem in this gym or to your customers?
Biggest problem? So like the challenge?
The challenge, yes.
In becoming more fit? Well, it's interesting because I think a lot of people will talk about, I think commonly people say time.
Yeah.
And when someone says time to me, I say, no, everyone has time. We all have the same amount of time. What people differ is they have different priorities. So if someone says I don't have time, I say you have time, but what's your priority? Oh, you're prioritizing work. Oh, you're prioritizing going out for food. Oh, you're prioritizing having drinks.
Netflix.
So, right? Or Netflix. Or maybe just you're prioritizing other things. And then people, they become habitual. They're attached. They're attached to those habits. And I mean, you could say as coaches, we're in the industry of breaking habits. Because we have to take someone and break a habit. And if we get somebody and they've got no bad habits, it's very easy to add in good habits. But when I have to break a bad habit and then add in a good habit, it starts to be a little bit more difficult. So I think, you know, time is probably the one that often people say I don't have time. And it's like, well, you know what? How's your life working now? Like, is your life working for you? Like, going to work and working this much and all those other things, are you happy? Does your body feel good? And if the answer is no, then maybe those priorities need to change.
Yes.
Right? And if you're not willing to change the priorities, then that's your problem, I guess. You can continue to live like that.
Yeah. I think in Hong Kong, the same. Time is biggest challenge to everyone. Okay? Because they can't keep the time because they have something more important, right, for them. So they can't go to the gym, right? So as a next step, we need to break a habit. I think before achieve the goal or before the fat loss program, let's say the client have a fat loss, want to lose 20% body fat. Before the fat loss program, they need to prep, okay, into the fat loss program. Otherwise, when they come to the fat loss program, okay, coach said, okay, strict low carb diet. They can't do it, right? They need to start to cut down their junk food first, or sleep early first, or to control their lifestyle better, or okay, switch off their iPhone or computer at night, let's say 9 or 10, prepare to sleep, and then, okay, to prepare, and then start the program. Otherwise, it doesn't work, because I don't want to change my client 180 degree immediately or suddenly.
Yeah.
You can't, doesn't work, right? And then
No.
they refuse, reject, and then they say goodbye after 2 weeks.
Yeah. So and then no one wins, right? I mean, the client loses because they don't get results, and the trainer loses because, I mean, if we need people to work with, right? Like if someone's not happy and enjoying the workout, then what do?
No, can't.
We go back to just training ourselves all the time.
Yeah,
right?
they don't come, right? You can't train.
Yeah, so with food, you know, we were just talking about, you know, if a client comes in and they want to lose weight, we know what they need to do to lose weight. That's pretty simple, right? You know, do this, which means exercise, sleep, which means, you know, maybe you're managing stress, or you're, you know, not allowing stress to affect you.
Yeah.
Maybe it's personal relationships, maybe it's business relationships, maybe it's reorganizing your priorities in life. So you're saying, I need to focus on me, because I know if I can be healthier, then I'm going to be a better partner, I'm going to be better at business, I'm going to be a better trainer for my clients. So sometimes we need to like ask those questions to clients and say, you know, what's wrong? Why, you know, I want to lose weight. Why can't you lose weight? Why are you overweight? You know, okay, and then they say, okay, well, I'm eating this and this. And it's like, why are you eating this and this? Why are you drinking all the time? You know, I'm tired. Why are you tired? I don't sleep. Why don't you sleep? I'm stressed. Why are you stressed? So it's like an onion, right? So we take an onion, we peel back the onion, we keep peeling it back, and that's uncomfortable for people, because we're saying people don't want to answer those questions in themselves.
Too deep.
It's very deep, right? And you're saying, like, if you want to fix this, then we need to peel back that onion at some point. And it's like, you know, I mean, for lack of a better word, yeah, it's like peeling off a scab. So, you know, if someone has injury and you start picking at that injury and saying, we need to fix this, you go to the massage therapist, you have an injury, they're working on it, it hurts. Changing hurts. If changing wasn't painful, then everyone would do it.
Yep.
But not everyone does it, and people ignore, and then there's layer after layer after layer after layer, and then they get to a point where they're like, I've had enough. I'm not happy, I'm overweight, my energy's down, and then Kenneth and I come in, and then we start asking those questions. And then that's how the journey, and that's why I come back to that word journey, is like it's a process, right? Like it's not just like, okay, here's your program, good, everyone takes the same program, it's done. Because there's so many layers that can come into it. So yeah, it's I'd say breaking habits, time is an objection, and food. I mean, exercise is simple. Like movement is simple. We coach a movement. You know, you're squatting. You know, move your hips, keep your chest, don't let your knees drop in, or whatever those movements are, right? Or it's like, this is restricted, stretch that muscle. But when it comes to food, and it's emotional and it's habitual, and we're trying to say, okay, change this, it's very, very difficult for people. And so I'd say the most challenging part of my job would be trying to coach clients nutritionally. You know, it's because we're not there. In the gym, we're here. It's like physical, we're changing stuff, we're moving things. But when client leaves the gym, how are we empowering them? Is it, you know, I know Kenneth sends information to his clients so that they have information to read, and so he's motivating clients through education, which I think is a great thing. And then like enabling them to make those changes. So, you know, you need to eat healthier. You know, here's some of the things you can be eating. Here's where you buy them. Here's how you prepare it. In fact, I have clients, you know, like I've had clients where I've tried to encourage them to, you know, make smoothies, and that was difficult. You know, I'm like, put the water in the blender, add some protein and some spinach, push the button, and then drink it. And somehow that was very complicated. So never underestimate the challenges when it comes to changing habits and
changing habit need to by need to. It's not, you know, completely change.
Yeah.
Need to by need to, step by steps, one thing, one time. All right. And also, I think, are you a fan of Jocko Willink?
Of what?
Jocko.
Choco?
You know? Yeah.
No.
No. Discipline equals freedom.
No.
Okay. Doesn't matter.
No?
Doesn't matter. Yeah.
Well, we can talk about it after,
Okay.
but yeah, I'm not familiar with it.
It's good. That's good because
What was it? What equals freedom?
discipline.
Discipline equals freedom.
I like it. I like discipline because, okay, people said discipline
Let's hash that
is
out a little.
lie.
Yeah.
Okay, you don't need discipline. You need love. But before love, you need discipline to create the habit. If without discipline, you lose it because I want to sleep longer. I want to sleep later. I want to skip this workout. I want to because I'm tired. I don't have mood to work out. But if you have discipline, I don't care my feeling. I still go to the gym to do something.
Yeah.
Right? This is called discipline.
Yeah, I completely agree. Like it's like freedom from the feeling. So you're saying like I guess what we're saying is we have a feeling, but that feeling doesn't necessarily represent what we want.
Mm-hmm.
Like if someone's addicted to coffee, they wake up in the morning and they want coffee.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't mean that they want it. It means the body's addicted to it. And so someone, maybe they wake up and they say they just want to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
Well, maybe they want to wake up and they actually would love to wake up and feel energized.
Yep.
And not want to sleep more, but they feel like they have to. So it's almost like the freedom is like you actually have the freedom to make a decision about what you want consciously, right? As opposed to that, like, I heard a number, something like, 95% of our behavior is subconscious.
Yep.
So literally like 5% of the day, you're making conscious decisions as to what you truly actively want.
Mm-hmm.
The other 95 is you just you're not making decisions, you're just doing the habits, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you're doing the habits, and then people do that, and then they get to a point where they say, I'm not happy, or I'm not satisfied, or I'm not in love, or whatever. And it's because they haven't been making those conscious decisions, right? When was the last time you have a young son? Son. So when was the last time you saw a child repress what they really wanted? Right? They tell you right away.
Yep.
If they don't want it, they tell you.
Yep.
But as adults, they don't act like that.
Mm-hmm.
They hold on to it, and maybe they don't want to do something because they think they can't, or they shouldn't, or the habits aren't there. So it's like, it's something where I agree with you. Although I'm not familiar with the author, but I agree with what you're saying.
I sent you the podcast.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Yeah.
I love it. I'm a disciplined guy. And even I'm not military, but my heart, my deep inside is that. Okay, I wake up at 6 a.m. in the morning.
Yeah.
Every morning, what happened, snowing, raining, sunny day, I wake up. Okay, to train.
That's amazing.
Yeah, this is my habits because sport changed people. I was not like that when I was young. I was lazy, always late. Okay, but rowing changed me. Okay, because I have to be at the rowing center every day at 6 a.m. Monday to Sunday. Okay, we didn't have any light out. We didn't have any parties, at Saturday, because Sunday morning I have to do the time trial. I can't go out. I have to go back to the Hong Kong Sport Institute by 11 p.m. It's like Cinderella, right?
Yeah. I think sports is definitely an amazing way to discipline your children.
Yeah.
If you are a parent, although I'm not a parent now, I think sports, to have like that environment, that structure, that peer accountability where you've got a coach or other peers on your team that aren't your parents, that are saying, we want you to show up on time, we want you to be the best you can be, don't skip school or whatever those things are, right? They'll keep you pointed in the right direction.
Yep.
I think that's a very sports and just activity, movement for children.
Very important.
It's
basic.
Yeah, it's just an absolute necessity, right?
Yeah.
I can't imagine growing up and not having had sports and activity as part of my life. I feel like my parents would open the door and they'd be like, okay, I'll see you for dinner, and then I go and I'd be gone, and then, outside doing things, playing sports. So
that's why I have to become a role model to my kids. I have to work out every morning, every day to to represent, okay, to my kids. Okay, I took my kid to bodybuilding competitions to see this is a man. Alright, it's not weak. Man should not be weak.
Yeah.
Alright, this is my physiology. Have you read a book called Willpower Doesn't Work?
I've heard of it, but I haven't read it.
You have to read it because community is so important. Okay, without the community, you can't work out alone. Without a coach, you can't work out alone. Without your family support, you can't work out alone. Because we go home, okay, coach, okay, you in charge me at 1 hour at the gym. But how about the 24 hours outside the gym? Okay, you are facing a lot of challenging and temptation, right? If you meet the bad friends, you're done. If your family's member don't support you, you're done.
Yeah.
Okay, you can't complete your goal.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. I often think of like that dynamic. I think of it as like a battery. Like if you're a battery and you've got 100 units of energy in that battery, if the challenges are like people taking energy from that battery, right? And so if everyone's always taking energy from the battery and you don't have people, family, community that are supporting you, adding energy back in, then you're going to get burned out, you're going to get depleted. So, I think that's something that people will do for a period of time, but then they realize that there's something missing or something's not working, right? It's like, what are you lacking? And draws back to that, like, relationships and like business, personal. Are they healthy? Do they feed you and give you energy? Or are they taking energy out of you? And the more energy they take out, the less energy you have to put into yourself in training. Exactly. Or whatever it is that you want to do. So yeah, it's like we say, always be a student of life. Yep. The day that you think you have it all figured out, it's like things are going to start going down because you're not open. You need to be open to maybe, maybe I don't know the answer. What could maybe work better? How could whatever that might be in any facet of what we're doing.
Keep asking.
Yeah,
keep asking questions.
Ask questions, yeah.
And as the next step,
ask this guy.
Why people, they have craving in the evening? Why? Because the battery, boom, done. That's why you crave for food at night after the last meal. Yeah. Okay, that's why I work out in the morning when I have high energy. I work out and then I sleep early when I'm tired. Okay, because the willpower is like an energy, right? If your willpower is good at 6 o'clock in the morning, but don't expect you are good at 9 p.m. at night, because 9 p.m. at night is your body is ready, get ready to sleep, right? You can't work out at night. I don't like to work out at night. I can't sleep because my arousal is still very high. Yeah. Okay, so my cortisol is still high. I can't sleep. Why a lot of people suffer they can't sleep, what's it called?
Insomnia?
Insomnia, yeah. Why? Because the cortisol, mess up.
Elevated cortisol, or just like, we say screen time these days, like people are, their bedtime routine or their evening routine. For me, like I know if I'm on my phone or I'm staring up on my computer before I go to bed, I have a very difficult time falling asleep. But if I sit down with a book and I read a book, usually not training related, it has to be something like, because if I read about training before I go to bed, then I just start thinking about training, and then it's back to work, and then I think about all these other things. But I need to read books like just books of personal interest outside of the training scope. Don't need to get into those specifically, but for me, like reading before I go to bed is definitely the best thing that I can do to improve my sleep patterns. Just like, decompress, calm me, and I'll fall asleep reading my book and I'll wake up and there's like a book on my bed and I can't find what page I was at, but that's just something that I do. Not to say that everyone has to do it, but it's something that definitely works
I like
for me.
Reading. Yeah. But I need to find something else to read. Last time I attended Muscle Nut, Nick Middleton said everyone should have hobbies. What's your hobbies? Not training, right?
Yeah.
Not lifting
Not,
weight,
not,
right?
yeah, not training. More recently, I mean, with the studio, I have to admit, I train 5 days a week, and then on my off days, I end up often getting sucked into a lot of studio-related activities. That's just being very honest with where we're at right now, building out different systems at the studio. But typically, hobbies. I'm a big snowboarder. I love snowboarding and mountain biking. They're usually, like, for me, like, those hobbies are things that I did as a kid that when I do them, I feel like I'm playing. So when I go snowboarding, I feel like a kid. I'm playing around the mountain. I'm in the snow. I'm in nature. I'm in the forest. Other hobbies, I really enjoy woodworking. So that's something for me, is that I like building things. I like drawing and conceptualizing, whether it be like a shelf or just some piece of furniture.
Home Depot.
Yeah, I like very functional, very building things that are going to work. And a lot of time when I look at like stores and stuff that make things, they don't last. They're just not like high quality things. So I've built like some shelves and tables at the studio here, and they'll last forever. You can stand on them, you can like sit on them. It doesn't matter if it's a table or a chair, everything's built to last. So yeah, I just find it very satisfying and kind of like almost meditative, you know, or working with wood.
Okay. Nick, do you have a last word to the Ask Kenneth audience?
Question for the Kenneth audience? Last words.
Anything.
Yeah, I mean, for those of you, for people out there that are currently, you know, thinking about getting into training or thinking about whether or not they can do it, I would say stop thinking about whether you can or whether you can't, and just do it. Take action, you know? So if you think about something and you've been thinking about it for a while, make an actionable step. And it doesn't have to be that you join a gym and get a personal trainer. Maybe it means that you go buy yourself some shorts and some shoes so that you can start to get ready to train. Whatever stage you're at, if you're thinking about doing it, then just do it. And that goes for the same. If someone's training 3 days a week and they want to take their training to the next level, then start, you know, and you don't know how to put together a 4-day workout, then ask Kenneth how to do a 4-day split. Whatever it is, you know what I mean? Take actionable steps. So time is finite. We only have so much time to do all the things that we want to do. And I think it's just really important. Take actionable steps on the things that you want.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Nick.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for it.
Thanks for having me.
Okay. Thank you.
Great conversation.
See you.